So here we are again. We're back, and it's a bit of time at the end of this weekend for some chill, fuzzy chats. Sunday night and chill. It's the new Netflix and chill, except there's not so much fuckery going on. So that's always a positive. But I digress. Hope everybody has had a smashing weekend. If you're a football fan that supports any other football club in the world that isn't Man United, I'm sure you've had a mixtures of highs and lows. Manchester United don't even land on the map of footballing emotions right now because we are just beyond dross. We're just so far gone, it's a lost cause. And that's what we're going to talk about with tonight's show. It's the premise of what the discussions are going to be about. Because what we've had since yesterday night is a lot of people, um, a lot of different people, different emotions, different levels of anger, frustration, and I think a lot of people feeling like we've got to make some sort of a quick fix change now. If we do something now, if we act now, we'll be safe in the future. And in your world, in your little world, it probably is the case that you just, say, for instance, let's sack the manager, get someone else in. Let's try and get the best out of these players, get the jolly vibes going again. And yeah, we'll go on to win a trophy this season. We'll get top four, and yeah, everything's all swell, everything's all good. And to me, I look at that sort of scenario, and I think, I'm not vibing with that. I'm not vibing with that because we had the same thing with Ollie. Came in on the interim basis, said, let's get me at the wheel. Let's get me at the wheel. Let's get Kaneki in. Let's get all of these good folks in, all my good lads from back in the day, from my heyday, and let's manage Manchester United back to the top of English football. Except that didn't happen. That didn't happen in the slightest. It went tits up with Ollie, and Vibes FC reigned supreme. Got called a PE teacher. Was the player's best friend, and then those same players that were his best mates, yeah, they offed him. They offed him, sold him down the river, and those same players that offed him down the river are the same players who offed Ranier. Got the same players who offed Mourinho for some of them, and are currently the players offing Eric Ten Hag out of the job. And the question that seems to be on everyone's minds is, or one of the questions is Eric Ten Hag to blame for all of this? What do you guys think? Is he the problem child of the situation? Is he the one that has brought this around, brought these issues to light? Is he the one that is instigating the issues that our squad, our players are facing? Is he upsetting people in the dressing room? Is there a lack of belief in the Ten Hag project? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But to be honest, from what we can see, is those players they just don't wanna do it. They don't want to do it. They think football's hard now. They think playing Premier League football, playing Champions League, playing FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Oh, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard work, guys. I think these guys need to go on a work experience trip for a month, right? And go work some physical hard labor 9 till 5s on Monday to Friday. Try go doing that, yeah, for a month. That's what hard work is. That's what mad hella hard work is. But they can't culminate it. They can't culminate it to 90 minutes on a weekend and then another 90 minutes in a weekday. They can't do it. It's too hard for them, guys. The disciplinarian coaches come in, they tell them what to do, how they want them to do it, and they just can't handle it. I see people trying to be pro Marcus Rashford PR this morning, apparently, saying, oh, on the morning of the game, Marcus Rashford was out feeding the homeless in Manchester. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but whilst humanitarian-wise, that's great, fantastic, this guy's a football player as well, you know. He's got a football career. He does get paid over 350,000 a week to kick a ball professionally, and he's not doing that. He isn't kicking a ball professionally. He's walking around on a football pitch, getting subbed off, and then sitting there and allegedly, according to lip readers, saying, what the F am I doing here? I don't know, Marcus. I don't know what you are doing here. Why aren't you in Paris? Why aren't you playing for PSG? Why aren't you playing for PSG? Why aren't you doing that? You could be in Paris. You could be living it up. You could be teammates with Kylian Mbappe and Neymar and kicking arse. Actually, not Neymar anymore, but probably at that point could have been, because it was last season. So you could have, even with Messi, could have been teammates with Messi last season. But no. He decides, let's fight for the shirt and let's ride this this purple patch train. So everyone sings your praises because you get in amongst the goals, you become top goal scorer, you actually do well for the season. But everyone was constantly saying, you've done well for the season, now you've got another season to do this. Let's step it up, let's go even further. Let's get Anthony Martial if you can get fit. You can start firing again. Got Ante on the right hand side. Okay, very hit and miss season. Last season. This season, we want to see you step up. Man's disappeared. Jadon Sancho. Can you provide more? Drops a level. Manager drops him. He drops the manager. And now it's sort of like the last hope for this team, this crop of players. We're looking towards the youth players. We're looking towards academy graduates. We're looking towards the likes of Mainu, Garnacho, Pellistri, and Amad Diallo when he comes back, and other players, Malacia, like young players, to be those who lead this team, who are the lifeblood of this team, because everyone else hasn't got a clue. And that's a big problem to me. That's a massive problem. And we can get onto the manager. There is all sorts that I can say about the manager that can illustrate, reasons as to why perhaps sacking Ten Hag would pose a positive move, or an action that actually brings around results as opposed to consequences. But the thing is, the comments that we had from Ten Hag were hypocritical, I found. I thought they were hypocritical. I believe that there is an element of, as I said last night, that I felt like Ten Hag's given up. Like he's throwing the towel in on the job. Like he's not really feeling or thinking about this job seriously anymore. I think there's a bit of the sort of semi-delusional quotes that come out from managers usually when they're checked out up here. And we saw it with Louis van Gaal, we saw it with Mourinho, various instances with Ollie. When those managers feel like they've run their race and there's nothing left for them at the club, they start mindlessly backing performances which they fully well know were just not acceptable. And he knows. Ten Hag knows that performance was pathetic. It was the worst performance he's ever coached from a collective of players. He's probably the worst performance a Ten Hag side has ever delivered. And that's crazy. That's really pushing it. And that's where we're at the moment. And people might say, well, look, Eric, he's out of his depth at United. He's out of his depth. This is just isn't the job for him. But I'm looking at the way that he took an Ajax team and controlled the Eredivisie at the time that he was managing them. He had his own unique style of play. He had his own philosophies, his own stamp on European football as well. You know, taking an Ajax side that was picked apart initially and then tried to build up a second one and did quite well with that. And playing in Europe against, some either level squads or squads that are better quality than Ajax and playing them off the park various times, various instances. And that's kind of what United fans sort of bought into. It was that like ingenuity. That's what we wanted. We wanted that, but we didn't get that. We got something that was almost censored. It feels like Ten Hag ball comes in. We're thinking, yeah, we get to play this sexy ass football. Guess what? No, you don't. You don't get to play anything that's sexy or modern or slick and enjoyable to watch. You don't get any of that. Why don't you get any of that? Because Ten Hag has not got the squad to do that. These players are incapable. Now, are they truly incapable? Or is it that they don't actually want to? Now, that's the thing. Do they want to do that or don't they? Because if they don't want to do that, why does it matter what manager we have? Because that's going to be the same stumbling block. The same stumbling block. Every manager that's different, that's unique, fresh ideas, fresh approach, fresh project. He'll sing players' praises and say, let's get everybody on the same page, blank sheets, blank checks, all of that, start afresh. This is the way we're going to go. Those players, we'll tell the media that we admire you, but for the same things that we say to the media we admire you for, we're going to then use that to weaponize our case against you 2 to 3 years down the line. And this is the problem. This is absolutely the problem. And you know what? Speaking of problems about players in a squad for Manchester United, there was a picture of a tweet or a post about what David Moyes' verdict on this Manchester United team way back in 2013. He said that his team were struggling to defend and attack, and they were having problems with scoring goals. Oh, that resonates because we've kind of had the same problems pretty much forever since back then. And it almost resonates to trying to think about why. What's the why in all of this? Why is it that United teams have struggled to defend, attack, score goals, and prevent goals, and play a collective, strong collective game. Why have they struggled to do that? Because the players have got no powerful, authoritative figure that is telling them what they can and can't do above the manager. What they have got are spineless cowards that man the boardroom, that take the meetings, that sign off the paychecks, that they know they can manipulate to get the club into the state where they are in control. They have the power. The players have the power. It is prevalent, it is open, and the assessment of this player power is honest. It is honest, it's not fabricated, it is not exaggerated, it is absolutely clear and honest. Honest player power. There's nothing that is hidden between the lines, there is nothing in disguise, it is all clear as day. Those players, they have power that they should not have. Any other club in the world, they would not be allowed to have the power that United players do. And that's where we are. They have got power that no other player at their respective clubs in the world has. You could maybe question Kylian Mbappe at PSG when somebody decided, you know what, we'll give you the EVP factor just for the sake of keeping one of the biggest rising stars in football to stay at PSG and keep him from Real Madrid. They wanted to do that, and you enable players to take the wholesale Mickey Mouse out of you. And Manchester United have essentially enabled these behaviours, these bad habits, these bad behaviours, this toxic attitudes, and the toxic elements to what is Manchester United is that we used to look at this squad and say this squad hasn't got winners, right? There's no leaders, there's no winners, there's nobody that wants to take responsibility or accountability. There was none of that. They didn't want to do any of that because it means that you are front and center and first line of defense when things go wrong. You are the first point of contact. You are where everybody starts. Everybody starts looking at you, basically. Everyone starts looking at you. But that's the thing. If you take the accountability for everything that's going wrong and hold your hands up and say, yeah, look, we've not been doing well enough. I mean, let me cast your minds back to Fulham. A banner in the away section provoked the players to actually give more for this team. So what if that banner wasn't there? Does that mean those players wouldn't have beaten Fulham? Is that what you mean to say? And listen, people might hear, when Scott was talking about the banner, it's like, yeah, we saw the banner, we had to ask ourselves this question, and it's like, come on now. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. You let the fans down pretty much almost weekly. And you're telling me that because there was a banner is the reason why you were able to beat the team today. No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. The same way that any time anybody speaks about this team or the squad or players in this squad positively, unless it is someone who's genuinely got a probable future at this club, like the younger, hungry talent, names you already know or should know, basically. Anybody else, we know that positive talk about so many of these players, it's all smoke and mirrors. We know these guys, and there is a core contingent in that dressing room that has been here far too long. And it is truth when someone says that these players, every other club would have gotten rid of these players ages ago. But Manchester United are one of the only clubs where what they do is they give second chances. But the problem is that every new face that comes in to lead the team says, let's give them second chances. I don't know if that is to do with NDAs, or if it's in the same ballpark as managerial NDAs, where they have to be ruled to secrecy. Maybe that's in the same ballpark as that. That's possible. It's plausible that Ten Hag signed a load of NDAs that say, well, you can't talk negatively about your boards. Ralph Rangnick did that, and oh dearie, dearie me, he got in big trouble for it. He lost his job. So there was that with the NDAs, and there's maybe contract clauses there which say, well, you've got to play these sets of players X amount of times a season. And those players who are spoiled, right? Spoiled little kids, they've got their contract clauses that say you get your bonuses if you play X amount of games in the season. So if they don't get what they want, they cry and they whine, they tell their friends and families. And what do those guys do? They go and tell the media outlets. They give little snippets out to your mainstream medias, and they will then publish your stories. So this is a vicious cycle that is progressively getting worse and worse over time, and it is a circuit-based thing. The start point is the exact same point as the finish, but the problem is that this little circuit thing has got a big amount of mass to it, and it's being drawn by another clump of mass further down, and it's just sinking and sinking and sinking. But we're going on a cycle, but we're just getting further and further and further down. The problem is that we need people that the people at the top are looking overboard and they're saying, bye bye, bye bye, see ya. What you need is people to come up behind them, assassinate them, not suggesting people actually go kill others people, because that would be kind of messed up. But take the power away from them, yeah? Put the power in responsible hands, accountable hands. Let them dictate and shape the behaviors of this club. Let them, the people that done it before, have proven track records, have got experience, and are qualified. They know how to run a football club, not someone who used to work in bloody Barclays Bank. Not him. Not someone who is the Enterprise Star Trek fleet commander. Not him. Not someone who worked at a house filled with mutants. Not him. Get people in that know the game of football like the back of their hands. The manager, and this is the best part about it, I get to critique managers and players between who's good, who's not good, and I would be salivating at the mouth to be able to actually assess a squad and a team like that and say, that player's good, he isn't, the manager is good, or the manager isn't good enough. I would love to be able to assess a team like that. The problem is if people try to assess a team like that, would be to indicate there's no sinister aspects about this club. There is none. There is no such thing as John Murtagh, Richard Arnold, Patrick Stewart, Edward Ward, Joel Avram, every other Glazer in the book, who cares? There's like those people seemingly don't exist, right? They can't exist because, well, the problem's not with them. So it's it's like the times I remember there was a Glazers out protest going on, and someone did an interview from a mainstream media, and they had United fans say the Glazers haven't been that bad, and it's like, you paid actor, you little sneaky paid actor. Man was definitely a Manchester City fan and was told, we'll pay you handsomely if you go to Old Trafford, wear a United shirt, we interview you, you just got to sing Glazers praises. Ollie's a City fan. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the City fan, when the fans invaded the training ground, he was there to back his bosses. He's a City fan. But no, in all realities, that's just ruled to secrecy. Because Manchester United, as much as the job itself as manager is a poison chalice, it's also like working for a corrupt government. It is literally like that, and maybe minus the aspects of, say, if you have a slip of the tongue, that you won't get thrown out of a out of the window of a third-story apartment or something. Like, maybe that doesn't happen at Manchester United, but the operation of the business very much feels like that. It very much feels like that with the managers, with the way that they never ever can call anybody out without consequence. And what do you know? I mean, Ralph Rangnick called the players out. Man got sacked almost instantly. Ten Hag has seen what happens when he calls a player out. He's seen what happens. They go and post on Twitter. They go and post a statement and to rubbish his claims. He's probably thinking, well, if I can't critique my players harsh but fairly, what hope have I got for anybody else? If I don't kiss the arse of Marcus Rashford in media interviews, I'm going to get hounded out of this job way quicker, right, than anybody has ever been before. And that's the thing. That's the point I wanted to say on Marcus Rashford and what he said about him. Because I know those comments are not what he feels. I know it for a fact. He doesn't honestly feel that way. He's definitely sort of saying words of defeat. He's been defeated by the job, by the way. He's actually done. He's on dead legs now. For me, if there is, well, I'm saying if there has got to be hypocrisy. There has got to be hypocrisy there, and it does lie with the comments about Marcus Rashford, and then holding them in contrast to the comments about Jadon Sancho, about where Jadon doesn't train hard in the week. He's dropped from matchday squad. Someone asks him why. He said he didn't train hard enough. Jadon Sancho gets peed off and starts calling him out. Poster child Marcus Rashford, on the other hand, can perhaps perform poorly in training, perform poorly on the pitch, not pull his weight and show fight and effort, but you'll never hear a negative word about Marcus Rashford. You'll never hear it. You'd never hear it. Not at all. And that to me is a big problem, because I'll tell you one thing. We used to slate Mourinho for favourites. We used to slate Ollie for favourites. We used to slate Rangnick for favourites, right? Ten Hag has established favourites thing again. And that's where, to me, the alarm bells have really got to start ringing. They've really massively got to start ringing. And I feel we are absolutely at the point right now. We are at the point where I think we've got to start looking and asking questions about what contracts do these players have? What contracts have they got? What have they signed up to? Because you can't tell me that many managers with different styles of play, different ethics, ethoses, problem solving, solutions, all of these different managers with different approaches, different styles, and different intensities, yet all of them can fail the exact same way as each other. To me, most people would say, well, usually that would be an indication to the players. But the thing is that we always come back to the question is like, but why do these managers keep playing them? They keep playing the same old players every time. Oh, it's got to be the manager's fault, because if it wasn't, he wouldn't be playing them, right? Maybe we dig a little bit deeper, like X-Files, like the Illuminati. Do a little bit of digging, you find what you're looking for. There is something hella dark and messed up about them player contracts, man. There gotta be. There's no way you're telling me that these players that have gotten so many managers sacked, they are still the select favourites to start games. What happened to managers putting the best players in training get to start games? What happened? What happened to the best quality players start games? The most informed players start games. What happened to that? Because and this is the thing. This is the thing. Where do we take that question? Where do we take that question? Where do we go to ask why these players are playing? Because there's if it was down to the decision of that many more United fans, they would opt to go with um, playing different players, and the team selections would look drastically different. It's like with my predicted 11 for the Newcastle game, I wanted a Mainu Amrabat midfield partnership. We got a Mainu and Scott McTominay, and it punished Mainu. It punished him and made him look lost. It made him look useless. It made him look like, oh, he's not ready. And that right there is a critique that makes absolutely no sense, because that guy gets isolated. Anybody that gets isolated, everyone's like, oh yeah, he's been isolated. Ah, but he's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. And it's like, come on. It's like if Scott McTominay runs away, he hides, and that's the thing. He's a passenger. He's a passenger. He just only turns up late in the box sometimes to score a goal. And I stand by my praise for Scott in his finishing inside the box. But man, you are not a second or a third striker. You are a midfielder. You start next to your partner in defensive midfield. Your job is to keep the centre of the park tidy. Keep it tidy and keep it physical. Yeah? Use your strength, your body strength, but no. Scott McTominay was bodied. Mainu isolated. Bruno Fernandes doing Bruno things. Just off up there in the pitch somewhere. And that's the reality. That's just a singular example. And for me, it's centre-back partnerships. So, I mean, Luke Shaw at centre-back, cool. Makes sense. That was one of the centre-back selections that I opted to go with. Raphael Varane, for the sake of having pace, because, Harry Maguire next to him, no pace, will get caught out. And that didn't happen. And this is the thing. Raphael Varane, when he was opted to be put into being the first choice or first team selection, right? He was up there as the top two. You had Lindelof and Maguire that were right down the pecking order. right? And that was fair. That was justified. Maguire was below a fullback in Luke Shaw playing in a centre back's position. Harry Maguire well, actually not Harry Maguire. Raphael Varane is now below everybody in the selection. Maguire starts ahead of him. Lindelof, Luke Shaw from left back starts ahead of him. They'd probably start Diogo Dalot or Wan-Bissaka in the right centre back position ahead of Varane, and that's messed up. That is absolutely messed up. There's no second. There's no second ways about it. No. There is no second way about it. But yeah, the subject of Manchester United today and yesterday, and probably most likely tomorrow, that it is a Manchester meltdown. It is absolutely a Manchester meltdown. There's all sorts of problems going on. There's, different bits of news left, right, and centre. There's fan opinions flying across left to right, up to down, backwards to forwards, wherever. People saying let's sack the manager, people saying let's keep the manager, let's sack the players. There's people still going on about the Glazers. There's literally everyone's minds are everywhere. It's just a scatter, complete and utter scatter. And the players have incited this. They've absolutely incited this by not delivering on the football pitch, but ultimately betraying the fans yet again. And that they don't do what they do for the betterment of the club. They don't do what they do for the sake of trying to deliver on fan expectation as they should, because fans are the lifeblood of football. But they do it because they want money. They do it because they want the paychecks. They want the adulation. They've got a club that signed them for the sake of having the brand exposures, right? We'll build your personal image. What about a personal image that them YouTube compilations do you favours of? How about getting, right, a YouTube channel to make super cool compilations about you as a player? Why not do that? Would that not suit you better as a footballer? Rather than having promotions for a clothing brand or promotions for a drink. I mean, I want a promotion brand for me drinking chocolate melt. Hit me up, Alpro. I'll sell your product. I'll sell it big time. And that's kind of where the priorities lie with a lot of the players, not just with Man United, but you could say just modern day footballers in general. The better performing players, or the players that usually put in the most heartfelt performances, come in the form of players that are on smaller wages, which are usually the younger guys. And that's the thing. I hope Garnacho doesn't get a fat, massive wage, anytime soon. I hope Kobe Minu doesn't get a fat wage very soon. I hope these guys keep small wages, and gradually, when they get, I'll tell you what, they should only see a big money salary until they get to about the ages of 26, 27. That's when they get a 6-figure contract. At a push. At a push. If you are not at that age, you should not be at any stage of your career where you should be earning that amount. By any standard. Now, if another club comes in and says, we will give you 300,000 a week if you come to play for us, and that player goes, oh, that's really tempting. You could straight away say, you're part of greatness, right? You can go on to getting a contract here, massive amounts of money. Is it with the top clubs in the world? Let's just, for argument's sake, let's just say it's something like a PSG, right? Let's say PSG come calling. They say, we'll give you 300k a week if you come play for us. that player goes, oh yeah, that's really tempting, and we get to sit here and say, well, your ambitions are for you to decide what you want to do. You want to go to PSG, be another name on the team sheet, be loved, loved for one thing you do, or well, not so loved for all of the nine great things you do, but then hated for the one small thing that you do, or the one small thing that you get wrong, or you don't do so well. Um, and that to me is where I think the ambition, you could probably challenge player ambitions that way. I think that one thing that could probably be a real kick in the teeth for a lot of the guys in this squad is banning them all from social media. Just say, look, you don't get no social medias. You don't get none of that. Straight away, your phones out the door. Your phones stay home. If you need to contact somebody, yeah, if you need to contact somebody, you come tell somebody of senior management. We'll let you use the lines. Carrington training ground. You need to call someone from one of the phone lines at Carrington. If you're at Old Trafford, there's probably hundreds of phones at Old Trafford you could use. And that's it. And that's it for me, because the players, I mean, what can you say about these players that hasn't already been said? Really, like what can you say? Like it's just to me it's a situation that I think the fans could unanimously look at it in assessment and say, yeah, that we should be doing better with this. We should be seeing these problems for what they are, but we still get the people that say it can only ever be the manager's fault. If it's the player's fault, then hell's frozen over. You've got then the people who say a manager is indestructible. It's got to be the players and players only. And it's just like, well, I think a lot of people who look at just the surface, who judge a book by its cover, essentially miss the bigger picture. They miss the bigger picture for me. They take aim, they shoot, they miss. They miss because they think they're shooting at the target. That's for them. They're not. They miss the target that they should be shooting. It's right there in front of you. There is no togetherness about real issues at this club. The ownership, the Glazers, have been some of the worst owners in world football ever. Facts. Some of the worst ownerships. And the thing is they have overseen a lot of transition into the terrible state that we're in. They've overseen the transition into those, into these depths that we've sunk into. But the people below them that they've appointed have also overseen and allowed, they've enabled this toxic element to really bed itself in and let the players essentially just get away with whatever it is they see fit. And managers can't talk about it, man. Managers just can't say a damn thing about it, because if you do, then you're an enemy of you're enemy of the players, you're enemy of the team, you're enemy of the club. And I said that this is probably like a trifecta of things. So far, I've discovered, two out of the three in the Holy Trinity. That your fans are an enemy of the club hate the fans, and the players are the enemy of the fans, and the managers are the enemy of the players. So actually, there is the Holy Trinity. the enemy trilogy, the enemy's trinity, right? And it's mad to think about. It really is mad to think about. These are all just situations that you never expect to see any other club in this kind of a scenario. Even Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea with the new ownership over there. It's just hard to believe that any other club would ever go or sink this far. And yet here we are. Manchester United, the once great Manchester United, have sunk this far. And it's absolutely incredible to think that we have gone from days of winning the Premier League, the Champions League, FA Cups, to maybe winning a Carabao Cup every other year, right? Wondering when we're ever going to see true success ever again, and believing that it's only ever been the manager's fault that we have sunk that far, and that it can't be anybody else to blame. We used to think that it was always the managers, that these players, they can do better. Let's get a better manager so they do better. But that's not what's happened. That isn't what's happened. And now it's on the icy slope. We've slipped and we're sliding. And everyone needs to realise which direction we're heading in. Whip out that ice pick, stick it in the wall, and start climbing back up. Start climbing back up. Start finding common ground here. Start realising the collective problem, and realise the root cause of everything lies above. If we keep addressing problems by individual nature and not as the collective, what is the point in trying to solve anything? Because if it's one problem, the bigger problem, right, the root cause of the problem is any fix or solution that you introduce to solve one issue, all the other issues are like a virus. It infects it. It infects it. That becomes another issue, like Ten Hag. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was an issue. Ralph Rangnick becomes an issue. Ten Hag becomes an issue. But all three of these managers were seen as a solution to the problem, as opposed to the solution to a problem. But the fans have been much more than happy to see one fix. Why not all the other fixes as well? Because there's a whole catalogue of fixes that need to happen. But why do one when you need to do all of them? Doesn't really make any sense to me. It really, really doesn't make any sense to me. But let me know your guys' thoughts and feelings on the state of the club in the comment section below. Big ups to everybody that has liked the stream. Hopefully anybody watching on playback, let's see if we can get the likes up as high as we can. It'd be most appreciated. This was only going to be a bit of a chat stream. I was hoping that there would be a bit more interaction in the chat, but I think everybody's must be busy tonight, so we'll have to try again another day with a chilled chatting stream. But nonetheless, anybody that has stopped by, massive appreciations to you. Really appreciate you guys, all your love and support, and just tuning in to watch helps the numbers on the channel as well. So big ups to everybody. Thank you very, very much to those who have liked and those of you who are subscribing. I believe we're currently on 122 subscribers, which is fantastic, as we were previously 120. So we are moving in the right direction, on the road to 130. So hopefully soon we can get there, which would be fantastic. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below, and what fixes or do you go with, right? What changes in your perspectives would you make? Do you think it's only the players? Do you think it's only the manager? Do you think it's only the board? Do you think it's a whole collective? Would you fix the whole thing? And just a quick addressal as well, just before we go. Some people saying Sir Jim Ratcliffe's starting work on Monday. How can that happen, right? How can that happen when there's still no deal announced? How can a guy suddenly be working for Manchester United Football Club when he hasn't got any deal in place, and he hasn't even engaged in ratification periods yet? So the transferal process of shares takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Oh, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks. It might be 4 to 6 weeks, whichever one. But the fact is there's a whole process where he's not allowed to interact, supposedly, with his asset that he's getting a transferal of shares for the ratification period. So how can he be starting work on Monday unless he's just being signed in as an employee as opposed to an owner of an asset? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I think quite simply, quite easily, quite comfortably, I'm happy to dismiss that report completely in its entirety. But what do you guys make of that? You could also leave that in the comment section below. To me, doesn't add up, doesn't make any sense. I think it's just more desperation. Same way that we're still getting Twitter accounts saying that Sheikh Jassim's going to take over control very, very soon of Manchester United, and literally have just be pretending that everything that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is doing with the Ineos team, what they've done is they basically take those reports, switch out Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, and just put in Sheikh Jassim and Qatar or 92 Foundation, and then just carry on reporting literally pretty much as though it's word for word. It's mental. It's absolutely crazy, and I think it's just mad denial, complete mad denial. Now I've said that, you watch. It's just going to be so typical that out of left field, there's an announcement. We're like, oh, here we go. Finally, Sir Jim Ratcliffe just gets 25%, and you read the headlines. Official breaking news: Qatar have won the takeover process, and you're like, what the fuck? Anyways, that's just in a wacky hypothetical parallel universe out there somewhere. But big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday nights. New week ahead of us, and it's another long week for Manchester United. Hope everything goes well, people. Take care, goodbye, and we'll speak to you again very soon. Ciao for now.